Oof, Friday.
Oof, 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 oof.
Oof, 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 oof.
Yes. Yes.
Friday,
Friday, Friday, Friday.
coming to take you away. It's Friday. Well, no, it's weird because I'm feeling it. It was a long week. The last couple weeks have been really long
Yeah.
in one regard or another. Um.
Well, I realized that when you're trying to get something going
Mhm.
and you're trying to get momentum, you don't have as much time as you think you do. Like, I think I'm starting to realize I don't have as much free time as I thought I did.
I think the only way to get more free time
Is to
is to use the time that
Yeah.
isn't free time so that you feel like the free time is free.
Exactly.
That I honestly
I don't
believe
have
that.
I don't have time to sit around and not do what I need to do in this moment.
Or you'll
Because
get
of
to
the
a moment where
or
you
I'll get
want to
to
be doing something else, and
exactly
you're like, oh shit, I didn't do that other thing yet.
exactly. So I have
Yeah.
to do this, and I've wasted my free time in the wrong place. You know, like you can't have it both ways. You know, like, and I forget that.
Right.
It
Right.
makes me like think I have time to procrastinate. I don't have as much time to procrastinate as I used to. I didn't have time to procrastinate. I only thought I did because I didn't see an immediate effect of procrastination. I didn't see
Right.
I can now see like the effects of it, but I didn't see it in the moment.
Yeah. But no, that's true.
Yeah, like
That it's like you could have done it then, and then you get here and go,
right.
I should have done it then.
As much as I used to go into crunch time and write essays in 2 hours that I should have had a week to write. Like as
It's
much as I
different.
did that,
It's
it's a
different.
different thing when you have things you need to prepare for something or you need to get ready for something. Like it's different.
Well, because we started at the beginnings, done lots of middle.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the end.
The end game.
Well, no, it's not even. It's the not so much you're in the end. It's the realization that there is. You run a. Nothing is permanent. You have to hit your window.
Yeah, follow through is everything. If you look at baseball, your follow through is everything. You look at football. When you're throwing the football, your follow through matters. Like it matters where you like tilt your hand at the last second. You have to learn. You have to like train yourself to make the movements you have to make so that things get smoother. If you don't do that, if you don't take that time, then it gets to a point where you can't do anything. You're not throwing it right because you're not taking the time to make sure it's going where it needs to go.
Right.
Um, that's enough sports references for right now because I expanded the extent of my
Well,
sports
it's the day.
knowledge.
It's the day to day that gets you to an end.
Yeah.
The being present. The trick is you're never present in the end. You're always present in your days. It's always the middle.
Mm-hmm. Always the middle, but yeah.
Except that there will be an end.
Exactly.
Not, oh
You
my
have to
God, the end is coming,
yeah.
the end is near, the sky is falling. I don't
Right.
mean all that.
Even down to there's an end to each task
It's
you
a,
have to complete.
this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Good, you know, that sometimes you're working on crap you don't want to be working on. But there's a,
Yeah.
nothing lasts forever.
It's like when
including you.
When I go through and I'm uploading episodes and I stop 2 episodes short, I have to remember, okay, that just means when I come back, there's going to be 2 episodes that I have to do. Let me do these 2 right now.
Well, right. Or later you're going to be like, oh, I've got
exactly.
2 of them.
Exactly. I can, if I see it all the way through to the end, I can feel more comfortable knowing that I actually did what I was supposed to do, you know? Like,
well, right. That it doesn't, because then you end up feeling worse because it's piling up behind you.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
You know, that we're not used to the idea. We like the idea of being able to set things off. Oh, I can deal with that tomorrow.
idea what tomorrow gets you.
Tomorrow's going to get here.
Tomorrow
today is going to
gonna
end.
get here.
Doesn't mean the end of days. It means today is going to end. Guess what? It doesn't mean the end of days someday you're going to end.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the end of days every best thing that's ever happened in your life at some point comes to an end. Every bad thing comes to an end. Things pass.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah.
Well, but so there's a thing that happens where you can't hold on to everything because the end will come.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what you have in your hands when you do. So all you can do is keep trudging forward,
mm-hmm.
knowing someday, you know.
I think also you have to realize you have more energy than you think. And I often forget that. Like I'll talk myself into having less energy.
Well, that you're the harnesser of your energy, not just in the sense of what's there, but in what do I do to make there be more.
Yes, exactly.
That it was energizing to go out and run around yesterday, wasn't it? It's a weird thing. It's like, oh damn, why do I have more energy because I was running around?
I was tired as life, but it was fun. It was energizing, and it felt like I needed that to remind me that I need to be more active in my day, and yeah, I gotta make sure I'm doing what I need to do when I need to do it. That's really important. Speaking of things that we need to do, I believe tomorrow we have to get things ready, right?
We have all, yeah.
Right.
This next week is about trying to get
things the together,
lawn needs mowed. It's a million little things.
It's a laundry list.
Oh, but yes, and the laundry needs done. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. That it's a hard thing that the list you can endlessly make lists
Mm-hmm.
of things that need done.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is how do you make that joyful?
How do you make the list of things you need to get done joyful?
Right.
I've yet to figure it out.
I mean, I know that some of it is make the things you don't like followed by a reward of something you do want to do.
Right.
Mix up your topics so that you're not just, I got all this stuff done I wanted to, but I still don't want to do that stuff because that stuff ain't gonna get done.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. You gotta mix it in. That's probably the best way to do that is to do something you don't like and then do something you do like.
Yeah.
Because if you start doing things that you don't like in a row, those you're gonna slow down. You're gonna not want to do it. You're gonna grudge yourself through it as opposed to
begrudgingly. Yeah, you're gonna resent yourself.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the theory of pay yourself first?
Mm.
So the way to really save money is you take it out of the money before you ever see it.
Right.
So you don't have time to go. Arr.
Right.
But it's kind of like that with things in general. That get that part paid for. You got to make room for yourself to feel good about being.
Right.
We become so stoic. Oh, I beat myself down every day, and blah. You don't want to go forward that way.
Right.
There should be.
That, no. It's when you're taking a test, you have to answer. The best way to take a test that I've found is to answer every question and try your best on every question. And if you feel like the question's too hard, come back to it. If you feel like you're in a task and it's way too hard for it now, come back to it. Because beating your head up against it, not gonna work. The lightning quick questions, obviously those are gonna be easy. The challenging questions, if you don't challenge yourself, you're not gonna actually finish them. So you need to try and challenge yourself. Definitely, you need to always challenge yourself. But if you feel like this specific task is really messing with you, make sure you come back to it. And what you really should do, you should come back to it either at the end. Well, with tests, it makes more sense at the end. But I would say come back to it after you just did something successful. Like after you just completed a task that say was a little bit easier, was a little bit more fun, was a little bit more lighthearted. Do something lighthearted and easy before you go to the complicated thing that you just took a break from.
Right.
You
Right.
know? Giving yourself time to reassess and get back to a good place will help you solve that problem a little bit easier. I forget that often. And that's why when I'm making my own day, I have a very difficult time with sitting down. Once I sit down and write it, I have to stick to it. And it can be difficult, one, to first sit down and write it. And then once I get there, it can be difficult to actually execute and to actually get the things I need to get done.
Right.
You know? And it's difficult, but if you keep working at it, you'll get better at it.
Right.
And eventually you'll get to a place where you're just doing it. It's just a habit.
Here's the thing humans don't understand. Change is hard. Doesn't matter whether it's to their benefit or against it. It's still change. And even things that might end up being better for you in the long run feel like change.
You think it was easy for 2-year-olds to walk? You think that's easy?
Mm.
They're trying.
No, what I like
They're
to remember
working
is,
at it.
so I get that you thought you knew
2 is
everything.
about the age when you walk. No.
A little bit earlier than that, about
Barely.
you're a year off. But
Dang it, you had a thought. I'm sorry.
okay, wasn't your fault. No, I've got 10 conversations going on at once. I've got somebody in the middle of a religious epiphany trying to text me at the same time, and I need to be paying attention to the phone, and I need to be, I'm sorry. No, I don't need to be paying attention to the phone. I need to be paying attention to this. The hardest part is we can rewire ourselves, but we're afraid to. You can repeat something over and over in your head that you've decided to believe, and you will. You can pick to do that, though. Here's the trick.
Mm-hmm.
You don't decide what gets to do that, but you can decide to change your pattern.
My secret to getting more confidence was every time I would look in the mirror when I brush my teeth or when I get out of the shower or when I was washing my hands or using the bathroom or anything. Anytime I'd look in the mirror, I I'd say it in my head, so I wasn't exactly always saying the same thing, but I was usually saying I was trying to consciously say something positive to myself. Every time I saw my face, I had to say something positive because constantly I was saying negative things to myself and constantly I was beating myself up for things I couldn't do or things I couldn't figure out, and I was really really negative about myself. And what I realized was the more that I started saying better things about myself,
Right.
and the more I would look at myself and smile and feel good about maybe the way I looked that day or the way that I feel that day or whatever it was. The more I did that, the better I felt, generally speaking. And it's all about constantly coming back, and positive reinforcement is very important.
Well, giving yourself that.
Exactly.
Well, that's so often we're doing instead. Okay, so we're doing something we don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of giving us the positive reinforcement of having gotten through it, all we do is bitch about how we got stuck doing it.
Right.
So now we have an additional negative
like
added to what was already.
It was so hard and it was so complicated. It took so long.
I was a victim.
You know what? Instead of, I got this done.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of myself. I got
It wasn't
this
easy.
done. It wasn't easy, but
I do hard things even when I don't like it.
Exactly. You can feel good about that. You're not. You don't have to. You don't have to feel like just because it was difficult that you should feel bad about
Their
yourself.
big thing now,
Mhm.
and I work on this with the youngins, is they're saying what you should say to children is not how proud you are of their accomplishment. That what you bring out over and over again is how proud you are of their work and seeing how hard they worked on it. So you simply change where you're placing
I did that on accident yesterday.
But it's huge.
That's okay, because I
do both. No, I'm not saying I don't.
I did that completely on accident. I didn't even know that was a thing. I saw one of the kids yesterday was really working at kicking a soccer ball, and I was trying to help her and trying to teach her how to do it a little bit, and she wasn't really kicking it right, but I noticed she was trying. She was trying to work at it, and she was trying to do better. Yeah, she was getting there. So I was like, I'm proud of you for working at it.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's different.
The hardest part
is different
than
saying I'm proud of you for getting it. Like
that. Yeah. Everything's a muscle to train, and I don't just mean kicking a ball. I mean thinking all of it.
Right.
That it gets easier the more you do it. But if what you do is the first time you do it, you go, oh, that was so hard. I'm never doing that again. Then guess what? You're never doing that again.
Life is like the gym. You only get out what you put in. If you go to the gym every day,
I'll tell you a secret.
But you don't lift a weight.
I'll tell you a secret.
What?
Gym is kind of like life, but it doesn't.
It's probably the other way.
Gym is like life on easy mode.
Life on easy mode.
Well, sure, because the weights are right there. You can see the weight. You can see the pounds. You can see yourself working up. It's like, oh, what if I could just see exact amounts and work at this? Meanwhile, life, there aren't going to be numbers.
No,
on the
there's not.
You know what I'm saying?
There's not.
And gym going to be any day you show up, as opposed to.
Eventually, you're going to see results. In life, you might not always see results. You have to pay attention to it. You have to pay attention to where you've done better, where you've.
But the results aren't. They're visible if you look for them. If you put in the time. And lifted the weights, and then set the weights back down. The new weights are easier to pick up and set down.
Right.
As much as it doesn't sound likely, I'm telling you, you can see the results. We just don't pay attention to them.
Right. If you go through life not being present, go to the gym every day, but you don't lift a single weight, or you don't run, or you don't stretch, you don't do anything. You're not going to learn anything.
Right.
If you go through life that same way, not doing anything and not actually actively trying to do better, you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to improve. And sometimes you have to shut up and do things you don't know how to do. Because that's
where you learn.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing is sometimes you'll learn something totally unrelated. But it'll give you a Lego that makes a bunch of other things make sense. You're like, oh, I struggled with this here. And then something will click in your head and go, oh, I see all those other spots I was struggling. Sometimes just doing something you're not used to can give you a different perspective to access the rest.
Totally.
You know, that you learn to paint, so you learn to break down the things in front of you and see the lines as opposed to just the... And you begin to maybe see that, oh, maybe I'm seeing people as a whole instead of understanding. They've got to be taken in as the lines and the pieces, and they're a whole picture.
Before I started like tracing things and using references, I used to try and draw real life things, like things that I actually saw in front of me, and I would focus in on one object, and I would try and draw it with as much detail as I could get in, and it helped me to better pay attention to what's going on around me. I lost a lot of that because
it ends up paying attention to things helps you learn to pay attention to things.
Right. Yeah.
That we get obsessed by the end, where we are going. And the reality is that's where the living is. Living is in those day-to-day things that suddenly cause some other part to go, oh okay, yeah. And it's a constant fitting stuff together, and you're never going to get my personal. We never get to the point where it's all figured out.
When people would say, oh, I'm glad to have the things that I have and stuff like that, but the journey is really what matters to me. That's really the piece where I learned so much and where I grew so much, right?
True.
And I used to hear people say that, and
You're
like,
like,
yeah, but I
whatever.
want blah 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 blah.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. But you don't understand.
You don't understand. I want this.
Well, but here's the funny
Yeah.
thing. 9 times out of 10, so you'll start on a mission. Dun 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 dun. Womp bump bum. Mission, Ross. Goes the quest giver.
Okay.
And the quest giver says, okay, I need to go here, I need to go there, I need to go get this. You go, dun dun dun, I am Super Ross. And then you go out and get them.
Okay.
But the reward is something totally unexpected. You had this plan. This is going to get me to here.
Right.
But you ended up in another place. Now, the question is, A, I am angry. I am not where I thought I was supposed to end up.
Right.
Or B, oh, I didn't expect this.
Hey man, I'm saying, if you really, if you wanna be a teacher, you should have someone do a task and then hand them a paper clip. Because there's a man out there who traded a paper clip and traded up constantly, and he ended up getting some crazy things out of that. Like, but he didn't have fun.
I've seen.
It wasn't about. No. There was a guy who did a TED talk on it, and it wasn't about. He wasn't talking about all the things he got. He was like, I just met all these cool people, and I hung out with these people, and like it was a fun time telling them, oh yeah, I traded up from a paperclip to a blah blah blah. It was just a fun story to tell people. It was just a random thought, you know. But it's, I don't know. Sometimes a paperclip can turn into something more.
Well, you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't.
So that we become very attached to, this is the end I'm going to.
Right.
We normally end up somewhere other than we expected. Then we get very pissed off about, well, yes, but I was trying to get over to here. Those odd places we've ended up are the places that brought us here.
Right.
Here I didn't expect. This was not like, oh, and so how are you going to... I have in my head an idea how to do this, but it's not attached to anything. That's the weirdest part. Like, okay, does that mean there's no steps? No, that's not what it means, but it means everything will show up differently than expected.
Yeah. Right.
It's part of the reason I'm able to go, well, yeah, that I'm feeling this, but I'm not overly attached to it. But yep, it was what I didn't expect.
Right.
Amazingly enough, again. Amazingly enough, here we are again with the... Well, but that you can't predict.
No, you can't.
All you can predict is there will be an end. You can't predict the end.
Yeah. I predict the end is going to be the heavens that fall from the skies.
Well, I was thinking more personal.
No, I'm just joking.
And not necessarily death. But we always are constantly, we think we know how a project ends. We think we know where a project's taking us. We think we know how a date ends. We think we know. We are constantly more attached to the end than the part we're doing. Like, oh my God, like when you'll ask them, so what are your plans? Dun, 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 dun. Same thing they are every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. Well, the problem with taking over the world is there's steps.
Right.
You're going to build a giant paper mache earth and convince everybody to move to it.
I mean, how many times do you hear stories of artists who wrote songs in like 15 minutes and they thought they were going to be garbage, and that's their hit song? Or how many times has somebody like...
Ooh, you should take that one to note.
What? Yeah, I should.
Artists that think they know how to define their own music.
No, I really should. How many times has a painter had a painting just sitting in their house?
Well, no.
That nowadays people love.
Go with Vincent Van Gogh died broke.
He did. Did indeed.
You know,
Franz Kafka's books all in his, like, they were like in his journals and stuff. They weren't like, he didn't put them out. He didn't publish them himself. Like all of the stuff that we love today, like his friend published them.
I would love to claim I'm a huge Kafka guy, but
No, I like his. I really like me
that,
personally.
but my point is, you're right. If you buy into Christianity or Buddhism, the idea that it wasn't until hundreds of years after those people passed that anybody wrote down anything they said. That's true of all of them. That's true all the way along the way. And doesn't matter.
Doesn't at all. No.
Because we get obsessed with, well, yes, but this name is attached to that thought. Who cares?
Right?
Is the thought wise or not? Now, Buddhists have the option of, we're all Buddha. Everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
So when people will argue with me about it, well, did Buddha say it? I'm like, well, Buddha said we all were. So.
Well, the thought is, people attach so much meaning to
Source.
Yes.
Source over value.
Overvalue.
Well, yes, but so-and-so said this. Well,
it makes sense, but it doesn't to me.
No, it's a thing. It's a thing we've gone through, especially societally as Americans lately. The idea that even though the person you know that is saying it, what they're saying is totally insane. Well, yes, but they said that.
I won't even say that I'm innocent of it, because I've had that happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally had two people say the same thing, and I heard the same thing,
Oh.
but I agree
But
with
you didn't
one
listen
person
to me when I
and
said
not
it.
the other person.
Right? Right.
I've done that in this very room before.
Often.
I've done that.
Often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Often. You doubt everything they say. Everybody does.
I don't doubt it. I've been agreeing with you a lot.
Yeah, that's true. It's weird because I think people think I'm trying to tell them something. People are constantly attached to the idea that I'm trying to tell them, as opposed to I'm trying to share with them.
Well, no, it always
Would you follow?
It always came across to me like I didn't have to believe you if I didn't want to.
That is always true.
I didn't ever feel like
to your detriment.
I didn't
but it's always true.
I didn't ever feel like if I didn't agree with you, you were gonna constantly harp on it and be like, "Well, you don't agree with me on this." Like I didn't feel that way.
No, I just know you're not confident.
I mean, that is a little snarky. I will be honest. Snarky. I would feel judged in the wrong room, but but.
Well, it is true though. Often I'll have the conversation of you're irritated that you don't think the way. That I have thoughts that are based on 50 years of it, not by choice, because by will of existence I've been here.
Yeah.
Which means I've fucked some things up in addition.
Right.
I've had the ability so I've had some additional lessons, if you will. Kicks in the face is how I think of them, but okay, whatever. So sometimes, the other thing is just general knowledge, information.
Generally speaking, when I'm talking to people older than me, I usually understand that there's going to be a lot of things we're not going to agree on.
Why?
Like, just because.
Why?
Just because of difference in experience. I've met people.
So what you're saying is there are things you don't know and you're willing to argue about it? You just said they've got an experience so they actually know what's going on, but I know I'm going to argue it.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
But think about it for a minute. I'm just breaking down what you said for yourself. I know I'm going to disagree with them because they've had experiences I haven't.
That wasn't what I was trying to say. What I was saying is, I know for a fact they've had a completely different experience. I know for a fact that they've lived longer than me.
They've had a different experience. They've had they haven't had a completely different experience, just more of it.
Yeah.
That's not the same. They've already had your experience. Not the identical.
That's not guaranteed.
Let me finish. Not the identical.
Well, my thought process.
But they already have an experience going through all of those age ranges.
My thought process.
And you're writing them off.
Relative to, yes, I understand that they've been my age before. Yes, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I also.
How could they possibly understand?
No.
Okay. Okay, go on. I'm listening.
My
I'm loving.
my thought process is
Interesting.
that I can only trust. I can only trust what I can understand. If I can't
Are you
understand it,
pushing yourself
if I can't understand, no, I can push myself.
to
Pushing
understand
myself.
other people,
No,
not you?
Pushing myself is suspending my own, like completely invalidating my experience for a
That's
second.
not true.
No, it's not a bad thing. I'm saying like I have to put myself in a back seat to like figure out where this goes.
No, you have to put yourself in the middle seat where you're willing to explore both. That's the problem. You write off what's happening in the front seat like a child in the back seat.
I don't think about it like that.
I know. I'm pointing it out. You're not a child in the back seat anymore. It's a conversation now.
Mm.
That, no, these are shared experiences. These are not all yours, sorry. That we have more in common than we have in common. That the lie perspective tells you is that yours is so unique. It's unique because it's unique and everybody else's is unique too.
No, I understand that everybody else is unique, and by that same token, I'm not going to choose to believe someone because they're older.
No, I didn't suggest. No one suggested that.
I'm not going to choose to believe someone with. I'm not going to choose to believe something that I don't
Being
believe.
contrary instead of open to the possibility that you don't know everything
I think
would end most arguments.
I think there's a difference between being contrary and not believing something.
Well, but when someone gives you facts, then you go know are true. Do you come back to them and go, you know what, you were right?
Yes.
No, you don't.
I do. I do.
Who?
I've done that to you. I've told you, hey, you were right about this.
But you second guess everybody and you think it's about them? It's not everybody else. That's not why you're second guessing everybody. You're projecting.
What do you mean?
You second guess everything you think. You give other people the same. You don't ever open up to the idea that people are actually honestly sharing with you.
I do second guess everything. I think.
I know. I said that. I agree. That's what I just
said.
No,
I don't assume everything someone tells me. I assume that they believe it. I assume that they 100% believe it, and
yes,
I respect that. No.
You use that as a way to write off other people's thoughts.
No.
Yes. You've decided that I can write off other people's thoughts because you're older, so your thoughts don't matter.
No, not that you're older and your thoughts don't matter. That you have different thoughts than me.
So with more experienced thoughts.
Different.
Not more experienced?
Yes, more experienced and different.
So maybe.
I don't always believe that more experience means more wisdom. I don't believe that. I believe that, yes, generally speaking, more experience means more wisdom, but I don't believe that on everything.
So you feel you've probably accumulated as much in 18 years as somebody who's 50?
No, of course not.
So then why would you approach it the way you just suggested you would?
Why would I approach it the way that I just suggested I would?
So you're writing off people having more experience, though, as not valid. I believe, or a way for you to avoid mistakes.
I believe that there's a possibility that I am wrong about this. I don't think that.
I know you write off everybody else's thoughts on the regular. I know that. You just straight write people off. You go, nope, doesn't matter. I've decided I'm stuck to whatever I'm stuck to. Doesn't even matter if somebody tries to use logic with you.
That's on the stance, honestly.
Logic doesn't depend on your stance. It doesn't need any stances.
No, I'm saying it depends on the thing we're talking about, and it depends.
Because
there are some things.
We were talking about logic.
There are some things that I dig my heels into because
that's not how logic works.
Because I have experience and I believe these certain things. But
that's not how logic works. That's not how logic works.
Okay.
Logic doesn't have people in it. It doesn't.
What I'm saying to you is in a conversation, I don't treat someone. I try not to treat
other people like
someone.
Ideas?
No. I try not to treat someone that's younger than me as if they have less knowledge than
I
me
don't think
because they
that.
are
No,
younger than
I didn't
me.
say knowledge.
Or not knowledge. I don't try to treat people that are younger than me as if they have less wisdom because they are younger. And I try not to treat people that are older than me as if they have more wisdom because they are older. I don't
You
assume.
tend to treat older people like they have less wisdom, in my experience. And that seems counterproductive. I'm not suggesting that you should either, like, innately they have more or less. But if you run into people that have more or less, why would you endlessly lie up to yourself about that?
What do you mean, endlessly lie to myself?
Well, no, I expect you to have more wisdom than a 9-year-old. That's but you just said you were not willing to assume that thought.
Well,
it's not to say there isn't. I think 9-year-olds have a ton of wisdom. I learn stuff from 9-year-olds every day. Every day. I'm not denying that. But I'm not denying that I'm supposed to have a better idea of it than a 9-year-old. I mean, I know that's only 9 years difference for you guys. That's not much. That'd be like a tiny little bit. But it seems like a lot between an 18 and a 9-year-old, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In all, it does. He's looking to you for. No, he doesn't know. He is working on answers, but he's at least accepting of the idea that at 18, he thinks you probably have a few more. So he looks at the world more openly than you do.
That may be true.
Do you follow me? If you're willing to accept that the 9-year-old knows that the 18-year-old has more experience than he does.
By virtue,
so it is only with the innate egocentric nature of being 18 that you're sure that the people older than you are somehow don't have more.
By virtue of more experience, I think older people are, I don't know how to phrase that, less likely to be wrong about things. However,
do you have anybody in your life that's older that you trust enough to not be trying to be out to get you? Because this all comes across like weird ways of convincing yourself of why you don't have to listen to other people. It sounds like a convoluted way to not admit that there are ways to bypass beating your head against the wall if you just listen. That I learn stuff from people of all ages. I learn stuff from you all the time. You're one of my major teachers. But I find that the more I think I know, the less I deserve to think that. And that's my experience.
I learn a lot of things from a lot of people. I also know that I'm a bonehead. So, on a lot of things,
but you know it's your job.
I am hard.
Do you understand it's your job to change that?
Yes.
It's no one else's job to change that. That's not like something to be proud of. That's something to be embarrassed by.
I didn't say it as if it was something.
No. But I mean, the more stubborn I am, the worse I am at living. Because I don't know. And one of the most important things you can learn from me is not knowing. That the most powerful tool you can have is, everybody thinks, oh man, the most powerful thing is if I know the most. Lies. No, I know. That in not knowing, you can actually hear somebody else. It may still be wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
But when you do the boneheaded thing and you hold on to something, that's always boneheaded. Because it is by its nature. Because it's not open to the quantum physics of potential. Science of it.
I don't assume that I don't know. I assume it's possible that I might know. I assume that it's possible that the person across from
as somebody that talks to you about things, you assume always that you do know. For the most part. You assume that you do know.
Okay.
That you push it hard. Now, whether or not inside you feel that way, you and I could discuss for days because I understand that. The most important thing children could learn is that not knowing is better than knowing. Because then there's potential. There's room to grow. Otherwise, it's a dead tree. It doesn't grow. Because it already knows. How do we end up here? I'm in a good mood. Please don't.
No, I'm not in a bad mood.
I know, but it feels very. I know. Yeah, I don't want you to feel like. But I constantly. So. It's when I constantly run everywhere. What I run into is people like you that are sure they know everything, and so sure that they're not even willing to hear the other people. Whether it was groups that, oh, well, that's a different idea. You got to get out of here. It's a global issue. This issue, this boneheaded. I'm sure I know everything.
Well, my thought has always been it doesn't take as much. Or it doesn't take as much as most people think. I don't know what people think, but I don't feel like it takes that much to change my mind on something. Hold on, because sometimes
I've seen you totally unattached to any logic whatsoever and unable to budge.
I think that when I see that something is contrary to what I believe, and when I start drawing more connections to that thing than when I actually believe, I make a complete switch. It's not.
See, because what I've seen you is fact evasive. Like, even if you have facts in front of you, not willing to look at them. That I think of things where you go, I want to change this, even, and you don't. Like, so fact evasive that even though you know something, you will fight about it. That you will get your back against the wall and be defensive and fight over things that aren't even true. And I don't know what that's about, but that's not unusual for 18. Pretty normal, but you are highly attached to your thoughts still, which is fine. That's pretty normal, like I said. Attention logic. Thoughts are worthless.
Well, I like to think I'm less attached than.
No, I think you're no. Dude,
most people think, but
dude, I'm 50 or 80.
No, I'm not. What
I was going to say
was,
I'm not.
No.
This is not a rational comparison.
No,
I'm not trying to make a comparison.
No, I understand. I understand what you were trying to say. I'm saying I think it's still something I have to work at, even if I feel like I'm less attached. Because in my head, I'm way less attached than I used to.
I find you more likely to agree in person than to what you had decided anyways behind someone's back. And to my eyes, that means in a conversation you're willing to act.
That's a scare of confrontation thing. I think.
Well, but my point is that you're willing to claim you learned something. And that's my point. No, you really didn't. You're going to go over here and do the opposite anyways. You just wanted to shut someone up. And I think of that as a manipulation. A decision to go, oh, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I please anyways, but I'm going to tell you this other thing. Even though what happens, it blows up in your face later because you did the opposite anyways. So I think a lot of people go, I'm really open to change. And what they mean is, I'll say whatever the hell I need to so that we can end this conversation so I can do what I was going to do anyways. That's not attached to change. That's attached to shutting somebody up. So you could, because you knew better anyways, and you're just going to go do it. Am I totally wrong in that view or that thought? That's been my experience.
I think I think that's more about fear of confrontation. But I could see how that could be seen as manipulative.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is you were saying you were open to agreeing and learning. And I was pointing out that in the situations
what I was saying is I'm more open than I used to be.
What does that even mean? How do you measure that?
How do I measure that?
You are or you're not. Try or try not. There's no do or do not. There's no try. Is it important enough you're changing it? It sounded like in our conversation today you felt pretty strongly about sticking with method.
I'm only saying that I think that there's improvement. I'm not saying that I'm good at it yet, or I'm even good enough to call myself actually good at it. I just think that there's improvement.
No, I'm not beating you up. I'm trying to. It's a very real. I know. I don't know that everybody thinks they're agreeable. Everybody's sure that they're the one. Everybody's sure they're the one that's listening. All you can do is check to see how often you end up apologizing after the fact, and that will tell you whether or not you were actually. The other measure is a fake one you make up for yourself so you feel good. That makes sense. That we all, and me too, that, I was listening so good. And then afterwards you realize that you're going, wow, you know what, I obviously wasn't listening. And that feels awful. So it doesn't do any good to sit in a conversation and go, yes, I'm listening, or yes, I'm trying, or yes, those things are meaningless. They're not actions, they're words. Words only try to define things.
I didn't mean trying. I meant.
No. I'm not beating you up. I'm saying that as I'm coming to an end.
I meant like there's more cognitive function going on in my head than there used to be.
Gotcha.
Is what I.
Like, okay, I see what you're saying.
There's more thoughts put out towards maybe I'm not right in this situation. There's more thought towards maybe this person has an experience that taught them this thing and they think this because of this, that, and the third. And maybe that's a little bit more valid than I've sat contemplating about it. Like, I get it. Like, there's
well, here's the funny thing. So we decided to talk about the end today.
Mm-hmm.
It's always still the middle. I don't know when the end's coming. Don't obsess about the end. I understand how everybody wants to figure out their dream, and this is the place I'm going to. You ain't living in the middle. It'll be a messy end. Oh, and I forgot. That's the wrong thing. This thing. Okay.
Yep.
So I was trying to figure out how to back up, like going, oh shit, I'm not trying to.